What up, people? Push Ball Black here with Push Ball Black Sports. And I'm going to try something a little different because I'm going to do 3 games in one vlog because the first 2 Florida games I didn't watch live. I watched the World Series. Shout out to the Astros. And I didn't see the Miami Heat game with the Bulls live. I also didn't see the Magic game live. I actually caught that this morning. I did see the New Orleans Pelicans game. That is not going to be as crisp as that breakdown is not going to be as crisp as the other 2 because that was horrible. But I'm gonna go into these 2 first. All right. So, see here. So I'm in this disclaimer. I might have to do these I might not be able to do these vlogs after every game now because I have a Christmas job. So, money's getting a little thin. So, your boy had the Christmas job for a little bit until some other stuff materializes at the beginning of the year, hopefully. But anyway, so yeah, I'm probably going to be doing these. I don't know how the schedule is going to be because I'm scheduled to open the store most of the time, so I'm not sure how stuff is going to be as far as not necessarily watching but recording goes. But anyway, we'll go from that. We'll figure that out as when the time comes. So watch the Miami game. Couple things that I love. Fred Hoiberg is finally doing a 3-guard lineup legitly. And it looks like he's going to do Grant first, Nwamba, and Holiday. Now, when I was writing this, I didn't know that Nwamba was going to get hurt because I wrote most of this before the New Orleans game. But the Miami game was the beginning of this 3-guard lineup. So I like that because Nwaba brings energy, defense, and the willingness to go to the basket because we have guards that don't want to do that. Chris Dunn can do that, but I don't necessarily know why what Fred is doing, but I guess he's bringing him in slow. So he's coming off the bench. But he's coming off the bench, and Nwamba started this game. Going to that, I also like the fact that Chris Dunn played the majority of the second half. He started the second half, and he played 29 minutes. Lopez and Markkanen got 20-plus points in that game. I think Lopez had 25. Markkanen had 25. Lopez had 22. And it looked like, they made a conscious effort to play inside out. They still kind of ran for their offense, but it wasn't like they settled for threes. And that helped them come back from a 15-point lead that Miami had. They still had a habit of when they got comfortable, they had a habit of going away from going to the lane and going to the post. So what's getting them points, they still have a tendency to not really do that. They didn't go to Markkanen or they didn't go to Lopez in the once they got the lead and in the later part of the third quarter into the fourth quarter, and they started settling to threes again. But they kept it close, but lost by 6, 97-91. So in the Orlando game, Bulls won that one by 105-83. What I liked about that one was the scoring was balanced. They had 9 players that scored. The type of offense was balanced. They still shot a lot. They shot 14-29 from 3. That's a lot to me, but that's 48%. but they had, more importantly, 42 points in the paint, including 11 of 12 free throws. Bulls D was nuts. They caused 16 turnovers. Nwaba was rebounding. And let's see here. What did he have? Like 11 rebounders? Nwaba was rebounding. Chris Dunn was running the offense. And he was defending well. I'm really feeling him as a defender. And I'm feeling him as running the offense. At some point, he's going to beat out Jerry Grant for that starting point guard job. And when that happens, whoever they have as the third guard, the offense is going to run better because he's out there and he's defending. He's gonna get into foul trouble because he's a young defender. But at some point, if the Bulls keep him as part of, as I've said in other videos, they always have this core. So if they keep him and he gains a reputation of a decent defender, he's going to get some calls. So that'll be better. The three-guard offense will be better when he starts consistently. All right, so now the Pelicans game. In the Pelicans game, they only lost by 6. But there were some things that, let me just start out by saying this. There's some things that the Bulls, I get what Fred wants to do, man. And the last 2 games, other than the New Orleans games, Fred Hoiberg basically showed me that he can coach. Because, one, Zipser wasn't the starter in the offense in the beginning of the season. Zipser was a starter in the offense in the beginning of the season. So it wasn't that he wasn't working, because actually he works better in the offense that Fred wants to run. Like the 3-point offense, the offense where they run and it's the ball movement and they shoot threes. Zipser's a better 3-point shooter than Nwaba is. But he's, in any other team, he's a backup. He is not a starter. He's a backup. He's a specialist. And you don't have the offense that can consistently, you don't have the offense that can run that offense to where he's a starter or he's like a bench player. You don't have the offense to have him out there as a luxury. You don't have the luxury for that. So the fact that Fred Hoiberg put Nwaba in there for these last 3 games, including today, was a good thing. Like, he saw that he was a defender, he saw that he was a rebounder, he saw that he saw that he was a rebounder, he saw that he was a defender. He saw that he was one of the few people that went to the lane and it goes to the lane. So he made a conscious decision to put him in the lineup and had a 3-guard lineup. Now, he got hurt today. Hopefully it was just he sprained his ankle. He turned his ankle. It looked a lot worse than it looked a lot worse in the broadcast than I hope it actually is. So hopefully he can be out for a little bit. You get Bobby Portis back, so that actually helps the bench a little bit. And I don't know if you're going to run the 3-guard offense, then Denzel Valentine is probably going to be. You got Zipser because he can. Zipser off the bench is good. Zipser started before. Denzel Valentine, they're trying to get him to more playing time. I don't know how I feel about Denzel Valentine, just because there are moments that I watch Denzel Valentine and he just makes me yell at the television. Because him and Jerry Grant, and sometimes Justin Holiday, but Justin Holiday is enough of a scorer to where it's not that it doesn't matter, but he can make up for it. But part of it has always been with this team. It's not them. It's not the players. I'm not going to blame the players. The coach is the coach. And tonight, from what I saw in the New Orleans game, they ran exactly what Fred wanted them to run, and they could have won that game because New Orleans is not that good of a team. I don't care if you have DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis there. They're not good. They're not that good. Their guard play is ugh, and Rondo's not there. Drew Holiday is better as an off guard. Jameer Nelson saved that game because they put him in the point guard instead of having Drew Holiday, and they had Drew Holiday play off the ball to where he can just worry about scoring and not setting people up. And they had Jameer Nelson at the point guard position, and that literally saved that game because when that wasn't going on, New Orleans was not, other than Anthony Davis and DeMarcus Cousins late, I'm sorry, that was not a good team. That was an ugly game to watch. And the Bulls should have won that game. You know, like my biggest problem with and it's again with this offense, they are so reliant on a 3-point shot to gain confidence. Like if the defense isn't popping, or they don't feel confident at the three, and it doesn't hit right away, because they only hit 11 threes today, and they shot 42 of them. If that three ball isn't falling early, then they don't know they can't score. And nobody can get to the lane except Nwamba. And there were many drives to the lane where he just couldn't get in the basket. He was able to get to the lane, but he wasn't able to get to the basket. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh man, the guard play is just, everybody just takes these shots. And back to Denzel Valentine, this is one of them games where he actually shot decent. But if he's going to be I'm hoping that Nwaba is like in the sprained ankle isn't that serious, or I'm hoping that Chris Dunn can be a starter now, because I don't know how I feel about Valentine playing extended minutes just because he's so inconsistent. There are days where he'll shoot you in a game. He's like Nico. He'll shoot you in a game and then he'll shoot you out of a game. And there were times in Miami where I was like, I'm looking at him play in Miami and I'm like, dude, that's not a good shot for you. And then today he did some stuff. So I don't necessarily know how that's going to go. I do like I hope Nwaba comes back soon. I do like the 3-guard lineup, that you don't really have to have a small forward really now, and we'll go from there. But 42 3-pointers is not going to cut it, and especially when you shoot 11 of them. And they tried to give Lopez the ball in the last couple of situations, but he got surrounded, and they really don't know what to do in half-court sets. And this is a problem that Stacey King mentioned with Chris Dunn and because he only had four points today. This is a problem that Stacey King mentioned in the game, that Chris Dunn isn't really good in a half-court set. As far as he plays better downhill, he plays better running, which he does. But this whole team doesn't play good in half-court sets. They don't really know what to do. They still, and Markkanen, like during the Miami game, Markkanen and Lopez, they figured out how to get them the ball. And then they still lost, but I liked the sets that they were doing. And then in Orlando, because their 3-point shot wasn't, because Orlando was 6-2 before that game, and the biggest thing with them this season was they figured out how to shoot crazy threes. Their 3-point percentage is nuts, and they run up and down the court and they outrun you. And the Bulls were able to match them, and the Bulls were able to defend. and they only had one person. They had one person on the wing basically dominate that game, and they're on their third string point guard now. So the Bulls defensively played very well, and offensively the three ball was clicking for them. 48% was good, but with them, it's like I don't know what offense they're gonna get, because are you gonna run? Are you gonna do dribble penetration? Are you gonna do Golden State three ball, which tonight they tried to do that. Golden State, I'm gonna shoot. I'm gonna line up at the 3-point line and see what happens. They can defend that, and when teams can defend that. Matter of fact, New Orleans defended that very well. And when you don't have that three ball, where's your offense coming from? And there are games where Lopez can get in the post, and there are games where Lopez and Markkanen can get in the post. But that is not consistent. Like, what offense are you trying to run here? And that's what lost the game today. They didn't know what to do when no one's shooting the ball right. And they didn't know what to do in half-court sets where, okay, where's the offense going to come to? And in situations, and I know Robin Lopez isn't a Shaq style of back to the basket, like dump it to the big man and let's go for 30, but he can get you 20, and in certain situations you can give him the ball and see what happens. Like, they tried to give him the ball like in the last couple of sets, and he got doubled, and they just didn't know. They didn't know when to pass it out, and they got lost. It seemed like they got really lost in the last couple of sets in the half court. So I'm glad that the offense has a different looks, and it's not just bombs away by the 3-point line all the time, but they have to do that first. It seems like to me that they only feel comfortable doing other things if the three ball is hidden. And if it wasn't hit, when it's not hidden, they don't know what to do. And I honestly feel like this team could have won that game. You know what I'm saying? All three of those games were winnable. Now, there's a different argument. Do you want to, because I heard this during the post game, or I think it was either the post game or it was halftime. Do you really want to win this game, or do you want to just see development? Well, this team is going to be bad anyway, because everybody's young and you don't really have a guy yet. You know what I'm saying? And Fred's still trying to figure out how to coach. So I never really thought of it as the team is going, do you want to win or do you not want to win? Because I never expected this team to win more than 27 games. But I do want to see growth in the offense, and the inconsistency of not only the shot selection, of having bad shots and knowing what a good shot is, knowing what a bad shot is, and knowing what a mismatch is. They still don't understand mismatches. The point guards don't understand the mismatches that Lauri Markkanen has. This isn't even like featuring him in the offense. There was a point where Lauri Markkanen had a point guard on him, Jameer Nelson. He had Jameer Nelson on him in the post, and Jaren Grant didn't look at him. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at your big man. Your best player is Lauri Markkanen. Look at him. Like, pay attention. But everybody wants to still get their shot. All the guards still want to get their shot. And the offense runs best when the Miami game, where basically Markkanen and Lopez had 20 points. That's the best I've ever seen them, like, this season. And that includes the Orlando game, because in the Orlando game, they won that game basically because of defense, and Orlando doesn't have, Shelvin Mack is a nice point guard, but they're down 2 point guards, basically. They didn't know what to do, so you should have beat them. So the offense that they run, as far as what type of offense you want to do, that's the scary part. That's the frustrating part. What do you want to do? What do you want to run? What do you want to do? What is your how are you gonna win games when your 3-point shot isn't falling, or when you're not really defending them well? Because this game they should have won this game. It was overtime. I'm glad it was overtime. It was a good experience for them, but that was a winnable game. There will be games where a team is playing with you. There will be games where a team is going to not pay attention for 3 quarters and dominate in the 4th. There will be games like the OKC game where you're just going to get run out the gym. This ain't one of them games. This wasn't one of them games. This was one of them games where a team that everybody thinks is awesome in New Orleans isn't. And you basically have one guy and a half. Because DeMarcus Cousins is an all-star. I get it. DeMarcus Cousins is a heck of a talent. But DeMarcus Cousins played average for the majority of that game until like maybe the 4th quarter, end of the 3rd quarter. That game was winnable, period. And they lost because they don't really know what to do in the half court. And as soon as they figure out what to do with that in the half court, then this team will be a lot better. Now, that could change when that can change when Zach LaVine comes back, but I don't think we need to wait for Zach LaVine. You have guards that can go to the lane and can do things in a half-court set. Jerry Grant could do things in a half-court set. Not shoot, but he can go to the lane. Justin Holiday can go to the lane. The only person, Paul Zipser can go to the lane, really. Like, I've seen a lot of him, like, taking people off the dribble and going to the lane. He's shown range offensively. Heck, Lloyd Marketing can take people off the dribble. Not really on face-up, but he can, in certain situations, against certain matchups, can take people off the dribble. We've seen it this season. So, anyway, the last part of that was more ranty because I didn't write that down because that just happened. But yeah, man, I'm upset about, of the 3 games, this is the one I'm upset about because I'm sorry, the Pelicans aren't that good to me. I know DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis are both all-stars, but Anthony Davis is the only talent that I can be like, okay, that's a dude that you build around. Like, everybody else is kind of like, okay. DeMarcus Cousins, to me, is okay. He's talented. He's a big dude. He can play 2 positions. But he was okay until the 4th quarter. So you could have easily beat them today. They're not that good to where you should have lost this game. Like, and the only reason that you lost this game, to me, is bad coaching sets and bad sets as far as half-court offense. That's it. But anyway, y'all, push the ball blackout. Later.